everybody. John Ponick with the Mojave Valley Daily News. This is our weekly Q&A segment, and today I am proud to have the Mayor of Bullhead City, Tom Brady. How are you,
Hello,
sir?
John. Nice to see you.
Nice seeing you. I put this up this morning, and we've got pages and pages of questions. People got a lot of questions for you, Mr. Brady.
Uh-oh.
First of all, I want to thank you for doing the ACES Awards last Friday. I think that your speech, if you haven't seen Mayor Brady's speech at the beginning to open up our Findlay ACES Awards banquet that we did last week, you need to go onto our Facebook page or YouTube page and check it out. It was excellent. Very well done.
And what did you think of my outfit?
You know what? I'm not the other Tom Brady fan, so more of an Aaron Rodgers guy, as you know, being a Chicago guy.
Yeah, but he's not the GOAT.
I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree.
All right, once again.
All right, so I got a bunch of questions here for you. If you have questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat here, and Jeff and I will try and get through them. I don't know that we'll have a chance to ask any of those that you put up because, like I said, I have pages and pages and pages. So, you ready?
I'm ready. Go
All right,
for
here
it,
we
John.
go. First one. We got this from Instagram. Charlie Lynch asked, where do you see the city 5, 10, 15, or 20 years from now?
You know, that was a conversation I had at lunch earlier today. And the city is going to continue to grow without a doubt. It is growing tremendously right now with all of the movement from, Southern California. Last year we did about 300 building permits, and we're on line to be doing over 500 this year. And it's already just, the 1st of June? Or the 1st of May?
Yeah.
Middle of May. And so it will continue to grow. I would love to see more infill between the Parkway and Highway 95 because we have that large stretch in between which separates our community. So personally, I'd like to see that develop more, but it's not something that we can control. I see traffic congestion on Highway 95 as being one of the top priorities. It was one of my top priorities when I ran for city council. We have enough water, or we have a population of roughly 40,000 people right now, and we have a water allocation that could sustain a population of 110,000 people. The entire valley could sustain a population of over 400,000 people. If we ever reach those kind of numbers, Highway 95 will be totally congested, and I've been trying to do everything I can to get traffic off of Highway 95. That's my biggest fear about what's going to be the future of Bullhead City. I don't want us to be like a Southern California where it's just gridlock, at rush hour.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about the ways to help Old Bullhead or North Bullhead, or I don't even know what we're calling it anymore these days, the 7th Street Inn areas there, and different ways that
it's Old Bullhead.
Ways that it could be addressed. And with the businesses right there and residences right behind them, it's really difficult to do anything with that, right?
Well, we did a study. We hired a company, and it's one of the very few times in the last 6 years that I've approved hiring somebody to help us plan something, because I was thinking about like what they've done at Williams, where we do 2 one-way streets through Old Bullhead, but that wasn't feasible. So, no, we came up with some other plans, and it's more along the lines of beautification. The real problem, though, is, and I've known this from the beginning, if you're going to Laughlin Bridge from the south, you have only 2 roads that get you there. You have Highway 95 and you have the Parkway.
Right.
So when those two, there's no other options unless I want to build a tunnel underneath the airport, which isn't going to happen. I've looked behind Home Depot and Sam's Club to see if we could put another road in there, and that's not possible. I wish they would have done the frontage road in front of Home Depot like they did the frontage road in front of Sam's Club. They didn't. So there's problems there. What I can say, though, is that in this next budget year, we are hoping to do the Landon Connector. If anyone's familiar with Landon up on Highway 95 where the gas station is at, we want to take that down to where the Malk School is at right now. And we believe that if we do that, we will get a lot of traffic away from that intersection at the bridge. We would also like to do the Arcadia extension. Several years ago, we did the Gold Rush extension, and I'm surprised at how many people use that. But right a little further to the west, we'd like to do the Arcadia connector, which is only 2/3 of a mile. And then we've been working with the county to get traffic off of Highway 95 on the south side of town, and we want to do the Mountain View, 2 sections between Aztec and Camp Mojave and Sterling, and I don't remember what the street south of that was. But the county has already got plans to move those projects forward in the coming year. And then people who live in the lower valley, if they want to get to the north, and especially if they want to get to the Parkway, can stay off of Highway 95.
And that would be awesome, because that's what I would be taking, is that back way to get on the Parkway and get in here, that's for sure. So, a couple other things related to what you said. Somebody asked, MJ on Instagram asked if they can expand Highway 95. Obviously, that would be a DOT thing.
Yeah, that's a Department of Transportation. And I might add that back in 1982 when I was here, we had a 2-lane road, and we had 1 traffic light. And when it was a 2-lane road, if you wanted to make a left-hand turn, then everybody backed up behind them until traffic cleared and they could move forward. Then ADOT recognized the problem because traffic congestion was getting bad in Bullhead City, so they widened it to 5 lanes. But when they widened it to 5 lanes, they took away all of the parking for many of the businesses that had already built when it was a 2-lane road. Mm-hmm. You may remember Marge's Hobby House.
Yeah.
You know, Highway 95 came to her front door, and she had about 3 spaces on the side. And now Marge's Hobby House is gone. But if there was going to be any more expansion, those businesses would not be able to provide the parking that would be necessary. And the vacant lots that are there now would never be able to provide the required parking to put a viable business on it. So expanding Highway 95 is not going to happen. It's more logical that we will build another road above it, and that ain't going to happen either.
Because of the slope of the land back there, you'd have to cut into that. Right.
Well, you also have the problem, some of the washes. You know, I would like to have another north-south that would get us from Silver Creek Road down towards maybe Home Depot or Rancho Colorado, but crossing Silver Creek Road is almost, or Silver Creek Wash is almost an impossibility.
Just north of Silver Creek.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, we've got some terrain problems, and you know, we've got some land use problems. So traffic congestion has always been and always will be one of my top priorities.
All right, so when we posted this, we got about 50 questions, and probably a good 20 of them have to do with your favorite topic, the medians.
Yeah, my medians.
So just as a base, we know, and I think everybody probably knows, that the medians are a DOT, Department of Transportation thing. It's not something that, I mean, you can argue against it and you can fight against it, but in the long run, it's the DOT that makes that decision, correct?
And they do not listen to us very well. You remember the fight we had with the roundabout down on Aztec. Mm-hmm. And now that was outside the city limits, but I teamed up with our county supervisors to fight that because I knew that that was going to be something that was not going to work. I wasted most of my political capital on that fight, and I wasn't going to fight the median problem. Now, people have got to realize that the Department of Transportation has got a separate pot of money that can only be used for safety enhancements. And those safety enhancements are dictated basically by the number of deaths in an area. So down there in the lower Mojave Valley, we've had a few, and not a lot, we've had a few head-on crashes where somebody crossed over the center median and it resulted in somebody's death. They don't care if those people were drunk or if they fell asleep at the wheel or anything else. Their solution was, if we put a median in there and somebody starts to veer over, they will bounce off the median and it will prevent a death. I honestly believe that they're willing to do 10 times the amount of minor accidents to prevent, a death, and they don't care about how it impacts businesses and safety getting out. For me to make a left-hand turn down in that area, I think I waited down there by Papa Murphy's for 5 minutes one day to make a left-hand turn going northbound out of there. Mm-hmm. I totally disapprove of that, and we've taken 2 trips the city manager and I have taken 2 trips with the district engineer whose office is in Prescott, and we showed him that, we don't approve of this. Now, they want to do the same thing through Bullhead City. That's where we will object every time we can. We did allow them to put medians in the area of Old Bullhead from the old post office all the way up to the bridge. If you want to put them there, that's fine, because there's no turning movements to speak of.
There's no business to turn into.
There's no business to turn into. But even there, if you come out of the old post office, you now have to turn right, and they've got a slot to make a left-hand turn, but there's a no U-turn on it. So now you have to go all the way down to Home Depot and turn in or make a U-turn there, and I think it's just unconscionable what they're doing.
Well, they made it very difficult for our businesses, that's for sure.
Oh, I just hate what they're doing, but we are fighting them every step of the way. They want to put restrictions on the businesses on Highway 95. For instance, Dunkin' Donuts is going to go in on the land south of Martin Swanties, and there's a curb cut there already. They will not allow Dunkin' Donuts to use that curb cut. They want them to go into North Oatman Road and then come into the business off of there. And we're trying to tell them that south of the Dunkin' Donuts lot, there's 2 other lots. What are they going to do when those businesses want to build? Are you not going to allow them to have access to their property? They don't seem to care, and they don't seem to listen. They just want to avoid traffic on Highway 95.
That is way too close to our office for Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes, I agree.
And I know, and the police department was complaining about it too.
So that's walking distance from here.
Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me started on ADOT and what they're doing to our community. Oh, and another example, we finally did those medians on Highway 95, north of the post office in Old Bullhead. We wanted to beautify that. We wanted something that was a little prettier as people entered Bullhead City. So we put in those boulders and we put in those whirlybird art pieces. Mm-hmm. Well, ADOT insisted that the boulders be no more than 18 inches wide and the art pieces be no more than 4 feet tall. So that's why they look the way they do. Now, I would encourage anybody, if they wanted to see what we would have liked to have done, go in front of the field house and see the artwork that we've done there, because that's what we would have liked to have done if we would have been able to do it on our own.
All right. Here's a softball for you.
Oh, geez.
Leilani Perez, you are doing a great job.
Oh, let's talk some more about this.
My question is, what is the new building going up across from Culver's on the 95?
Delta Dental.
Aspen Dental.
Oh.
Aspen Dental.
Aspen Dental, yeah. And over there in the same area is where the new Jimmy John's is going to be as well. Over there where the new, or where the Woody's car wash is, you're knocking that down?
The car wash is going to come down. That's the corner going into the Target Shopping Center. The car wash is coming down, and Jimmy John's is going there. And here again, we go back to ADOT. ADOT will not allow them to have access off of Highway 95, will not allow them to have access as you enter the Target parking lot. They're going to have to come around the back side. So we're arguing with them on that one.
So if you're coming from Fort Mojave and you're heading north, you got to turn into the Target Center, then you got to make another turn behind Jimmy John's, and then make another turn into the Jimmy John's parking lot.
Correct.
Awesome. Good job, DOT. Appreciate you. Your friend Harvey Pryor asked about the new utilities department. You hired a utilities director, Mark Clark.
Correct.
And you hired a couple of, we profiled them last week, a couple of, to me, appears to be excellent choices to work in there with them. But are you going to have a commission or utilities commission or anything along those lines, or are they?
I believe Harvey's asking if they are going to be, if we would have like a franchise license agreement like we do with the
Park and Rec and
well, not the Park and Rec. No, Southwest Gas and Republic Services and all of those, and Suddenlink. No, we're not. This will be a city-run department, and there will be no type of utilities commission as such. It's going to be a city-run department, the same as our wastewater department's being run right now.
Right, and so if somebody wanted to have any input on that, that's going to be a city council open meeting kind of thing.
Absolutely. Anybody's welcome to come to any of our city council meetings on the first and third Tuesday of every month, and we start our meetings with an open discussion. Anybody can come in and speak for 3 minutes.
Gary Shapiro, we need a better way to separate swimming and wading areas off the beach areas and stop motorized boats and jet skis from getting into those protected areas. I know that you have some protected areas there right by Community Park. Is there a way to... So you have the giant beach there from Community Park south.
Correct.
All the way down to the wash there.
Well, from the Chamber of Commerce building south to where it narrows.
Right. Right now, is that, I know there was a section that was cordoned off for wading and swimming in there.
Correct.
But you were saying that it goes all the way down to the wash? Is
No,
that right?
I'm not sure what Gary means. If he means just Community Park, because I don't think he identified it.
didn't.
So it could also mean Rotary Park, because
Okay.
right now there are no restrictions to people wading in the water there and boats. And no, we have no intention of doing anything down there. But if he's referring to Community Park, yes, we've expanded that swim area, that buoyed area that goes all the way basically to the south side of the Chamber building now, which was even further than what it was before. And that prohibits boats from going through there. It's a buoy and cable line, so any boat that would try to go over there would, chop up its prop or chop up the buoy. But you can't stop stupid people from going over the buoy in a personal watercraft. Our city manager said he was down there the other day just walking the shoreline, and he saw somebody that had done that when there was really nobody there and confronted him. But, that's stupid is as stupid does.
Karen Perillo asked something along those lines about PWC rental places and accidents and deaths on the river. I mean, you've made it very expensive, maybe, to rent these things with the fees that are coming to the city to help. With those fees, then you also use those fees to go out and police these areas as well, correct?
Correct.
So at some point... I mean, you can't, I've had this discussion with Toby before. You can't stop licensing these people because they're going to just go on the other side of the river anyway and get licensed.
Well, not just that, but how do you put somebody out of business? Cities don't do that.
Right, so as long as it's profitable for them, no matter what you make the fees on this, they're going to continue to open up or open up somewhere. So is there anything else that can be done on the river to help police? And maybe this thing that you're doing this summer with having the police stationed there at the chamber, maybe that will help.
That'll help. We've had 3 accidents already this year, and one of them was serious, injuring a 9-year-old girl, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And that injury occurred from a Laughlin rental, and they didn't follow the same things that we are requiring our operators to do on our side of the river. On our side of the river, we insist that the rental operators buy a consumer protection form, and they pay $20 for them. If they want to charge the customer, they can say, oh, it's a city fee and you have to pay it. But that consumer protection form basically avoids the conflicts that we had years ago where they were getting charged for scratches on the thing. Mm-hmm. It advises them to go around and take a picture or take a video of the personal watercraft that they're renting, just so there will be no dispute if they come back and damages are claimed. Additionally, they have to sign that whoever is going to operate that personal watercraft has to watch a safety video that the city put together. And that safety video basically explains the rules of the road on operating a watercraft. Now, what happened to that young girl is they rented from the Nevada side. There was no safety video, there was no consumer protection form, there was no education, and they just basically put somebody on a personal watercraft. We have since met with the Laughlin casino owners, and we asked them if they would voluntarily do the same thing that we're doing on our side of the river, and they don't even have to collect the fee. But we just said that we would like for you, if you're going to rent one out of one of the Laughlin casinos, have them watch the safety video, and their answer was no, we're not interested in doing that. And Clark County has not been interested in helping us out. We have approached them to help pay for our lifeguards. We spent close to $275,000 between Memorial Day and Labor Day for the ocean-trained lifeguards that patrol the river along with our police department, but they can actually get in the water as opposed to our police officers who have got boots and gun belts on. So they have been invaluable in helping assist people and preventing, injuries. But education is so vitally important, and we believe we're doing everything we can to provide for the safety of the renters of these personal watercraft.
Good.
And now we're also going to charge them an extra $10 because you may recall at a city council meeting, we wanted to give them their own personal launching area.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the process of designing a launch ramp. We'll be at the very north end of Community Park, closest to them, so we don't have the conflict between them on our public launch. They will have their own, and they are paying an additional $10 that they can pass on to their customers. And we estimate that we will probably make $250,000 plus every year. We're estimating they do 26,000 rentals a year. So at $10, we'll make roughly $250,000, and we anticipate that the cost of the boat ramp is going to be about $750,000.
So it'll take a couple of years to
Right.
take
So
care
we
of that.
want we don't want the citizens of Bullhead City to be paying anything to further the profit line of our personal watercraft. We want the tourists to come and help pay for all of these improvements and all these safety enhancements.
All right, I'm going to ask this question, but don't beat me up on it.
All right, here we go.
When is the regatta coming back? The regatta was sold, right?
The regatta was sold. The regatta is not coming back. We look at our beaches on any given weekend. If we were to, it was. The regatta was started, back in the days when there were very few tourists in town, and it was started with the idea of letting the recreating public know what we had.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up
I think that's happened.
Yeah, I think that's happened. Just go down to Community Park in a couple of weeks' time and see how many people are going to be there on the weekend. Do we really need to tell all of those people, you're not allowed to go on a river because we've got an event planned for 30,000 people, and to bring back all of the trash and arguments and the potential loss? That was my big thing. I looked at it from a financial aspect, and we were spending over $1 million on that, and we were making over $1 million on that. Prior to my getting here, they were basically showing losses. When I got here, and I don't want to say it had anything to do with me, but we started getting like $200,000 profits. But I always said that if we had high winds or rain and the people did not show up and registered on that day, we stood the chance of losing $200,000, $300,000. And I just didn't think that that was a worthwhile use of taxpayers' dollars. And that same thing still exists today. So no, the regatta is not coming back. Now I will say that we are in the preliminary stages of bringing back the Laughlin River Run on our side of the river. And I'm hopeful, and Toby says that we're putting money in this year's budget to as a revenue neutral thing. We're budgeting so much and we're going to get so much in revenue, so it's not necessarily controversial, but our plan is that we will work towards bringing the Bullhead City River Run to Bullhead City and make it as big or better than it was in its heyday.
There you go, Bullhead City River Run.
Yay.
Yeah, I thought that was a very nice event this year as a rider, just like me. What did you think of it?
I was surprised at the number of bikes that I saw on the road. I didn't think we'd see that many. I talked to one guy at Chili's. He was sitting next to me while we were having dinner, and he was sitting by himself, so I started a conversation. He was from San Francisco, came down, and he didn't know that it had been canceled.
Oh. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry Topping, you did a fantastic job for sure. All right, here's a unusual one. Angel Ramirez Velez. With extra marijuana revenue, will you be fixing roads and adding sidewalks into residential areas? And instead of regatta and new car washes, can we get a water park? Take that tourist money, put it somewhere positive. So, again, we already answered the regatta thing. New car washes is a business, and if you're talking about the new one here on 95, they recycle all their water, which is something unusual.
No,
awesome.
all the car washes are required now to recycle.
Are they?
Yeah.
But let's get back to the marijuana revenue.
Well, let's go to the water park, because that's a conversation that I had earlier
I'd
today.
rather talk marijuana, but okay,
Well,
whatever.
We'll
sure.
go there.
No, you go ahead. Let's hear what you got to say about the water park.
All
There's
right.
a couple people.
Well,
that
first
asked
off,
about that.
what's the definition of the water park? Is it a splash pad? We already have the splash
We do have a
pad
splash
that our
pad,
Morning
yeah.
Kiwanis Club built at Kent Folvar Park. If we're talking about a water park, that's all we're going to do. A major water park is done by the corporate sector, not by the municipality. But we have money in this year's budget that we will be discussing to put another splash park at Community Park.
Oh,
So
That is
we
nice.
want one for the north side of town too. All right, so then we move on to the next
well,
question.
and we have. I've been to the conferences with you where we talked to businesses about coming into town, and I know that there was one that talked about doing like a giant wave pool in the middle of town. Has any other developers even broached the subject about
No.
doing that?
No, nobody's done that. You know, years ago when I was in charge of developing Davis Camp, I wanted to put a big water park, like a Wet and Wild, on the northeast corner at the bridge. And I contacted the managers of Wet and Wild in Las Vegas. And folks, this is back in the 80s. But they basically told me that they would never consider coming to a small town like Bullhead City and doing a major development like that, because they needed a huge population base that would use it every day, as opposed to your tourist base, which only came in on the weekends and only during the good weather months. So I think that's one of those things, just like the restaurants. You know, we've heard from the restaurants, you have to have the certain population base and you have to have the certain income level.
yeah.
So it will come when we grow and corporate decides that it's feasible to do that here in Bullhead City.
Do we have the infrastructure to host boat races?
Wait,
Yes,
wasn't there
we
another
do.
part to that last question?
Marijuana.
Oh, yeah, and you wanted to get
You
to
know,
that, so you're now
it makes people
skipping over that.
forgetful, you know. Yes, she says extra marijuana revenue. Are you realizing any marijuana revenue yet?
Those numbers are not available to the city council members. Those numbers go directly to the Department of Revenue, and the only people that get to see those numbers is our finance manager and our county and our city manager. And he's prohibited by law from sharing those numbers with any of us. They can tell us that, you know, revenues are up and what percentage and things like that, but they can't talk about individual businesses. So as far as the marijuana, we've only had the medicinal marijuana, and now it's branching into the recreational marijuana. Most of the tax money that was part of the proposition is all going to other state projects, like the teacher college and for community colleges, and nothing, I don't think, was coming back to the cities except our 2-cent sales tax. So I don't think we're going to see any huge increases unless the marijuana industry just creates, you know, a ton of money off of it,
So
which I think they can do. The last operator that was in, from what I was told, was making quite a bit of money off of it.
the last medical marijuana one that was
Yes,
in
correct.
here. So we haven't heard that there's been any additional recreational marijuana licenses issued yet in our area from the state. Is it,
And I can't answer that question, John. The state had to come up with the provisions on how the recreational industry was being regulated, and I'm not certain if they've done that yet, and it's already out there being applied.
okay. I've tried to get a hold of Debbie's to see if they're interested in doing it, but we haven't really heard anything.
I thought I saw an ad for Debbie saying that you could now go in there and buy the recreational, but I might be wrong.
I don't know. Median. 1 minute left.
Oh, no.
All right, let's ask real quick about the homelessness in the desert across from Community Park. Is there anything that can be done?
Well, it's my understanding, in answer to the question, can anything be done? No. People don't realize that the homeless problem is out of control across the whole country. And if there were a solution to the homeless problem, we would all be following it. The Supreme Court has ruled that if you have homeless in your community and you have a place for them to go, a homeless shelter, and if that homeless shelter is full, and we have 56 beds at our homeless shelter, but they're not open yet, but once those 56 beds are full, the homeless people have the right to to camp on any public property that they want. That's why if you Google Venice Beach, California, you will see the entire shoreline along the boardwalk is littered with tents. They have no way of doing away with that. It's against the law for us to interfere with them because they have the right to live. They have the right to subsist. And we can't just ban them from our community or send them out 5 miles from city limits where they have no food, water, shelter, or anything else. This is a problem that is going to consume our country, and I think it's going to get much worse once this pandemic is fully over with and they do away with all of these mortgage forgivenesses and rent forgivenesses. Yeah. So, people want us to do something, and we have explored everything we can, and we believe we're doing everything that's legal for us to do.
Doing the best you can under the rule of law,
yeah,
says the former judge.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to get Mayor Tom Brady back for another questions and answers to be able to answer all the questions that have been asked.
Yeah, there's a bunch that I see coming through. Somebody's asking about regulations covering electric unicycles.
But we're out of time, so we'll have to get back to those, and maybe in chat you can get some of those. Maybe
Yeah.
Tom can
Yeah,
take
we'll
a look
do
at
that.
chat.
I'll go back on there later and answer the ones that I can answer.
All right.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you coming in.
Well, this has been enjoyable. Thank you, John.
All right, everyone. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we will be doing our Valley Voices, and my guest is Eric, the owner of ProFit Kitchen right up the street here. So we're going to hear some cool things about them. Have you been in there?
Not yet.
Really, really good. All right. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, everybody.